Hi, and welcome to our second session. I hope you're enjoying this series as we look at how we could be wiser with. We're looking at four things that we could be wiser with, and in this second session, we're specifically looking at wiser with our money. You know, today we can buy a lot of things. I don't know if you've noticed, but we now have access to a global economy. Foods that previously only kings could access, we can now buy at the supermarket. We now have more things, and we are, as a world, or even as a group of Aussies, richer than we've ever been before. We can now have running water, transportation options, entertainment options, whatever you can imagine. There are things out there now, you wouldn't believe it, that are even available for free that used to be costly. But despite having all of these things, did you know that global debt levels are at the highest they've ever been? In fact, despite having so much, we as a people want more. We want so much more that we have, most of us as a nation even, have borrowed from the future to get more today. That's what we mean by debt levels being high. We've taken from our children and the children's children in the future, and we've said, hey, give me some of that now. And so now we're living in an economy that is boosted up by future borrowings. So imagine more money than we actually have to spend in this generation. And then in this environment of plenty, we're finding that even among Christians, giving is decreasing. Aid organizations around the world are struggling to get funded. Religious work, community aid, all across with this recent financial crisis even, have all been the first hit when it comes to resources. So how can it be that we are getting access to more money, more resources, and the things that we value inside are not getting prioritized? I think it's because there has been a very subtle shift in our attention, and that most of us are not really paying attention very closely to where we are spending our money. I hope that during this session that you would ask the primary question that we're going to be looking at today. How do we put God first with our finances? If all of wisdom is having this right orientation with God, and then at our last session we looked at how do we put God first with our time, today we want to look at how do we put God first with our finances. Firstly, let's look at Proverbs 3, verse 9 to 10. It says this: honor the Lord with your wealth and with your first fruits, and with the first fruits of your produce. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. You know, I want to tackle our finances and putting God first, not from an angle of commandment or of rules and laws, even though I want to put it to you that the case can be made for that. But for this series, I want to tackle it as a matter for wisdom. It is wise for you to put God first with your finances. You see, because if you put other things first with your finances, if you put your resources and your finances on other things as a matter of first priority, then really it betrays that your heart is first about these other things. The Bible puts it like this: for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, and it has inflicted people with many pangs. That's in 1 Timothy 6, verse 10. It's not that money is bad, it's that it reveals our priorities. And what is, I think, fundamentally bad about our money going into acquiring more things and our leisure and our entertainment or even good things like education, the downside of all of those is that they themselves do not satisfy. By ordering God first, it actually builds that kind of wise discipline in our lives. It sets the precedent so that all other areas of our lives, all the other things that we want to spend our money on, can be under control, can be properly aligned to the purposes that actually best benefit you. And so today, we're going to be doing some very practical things. We're going to put on the mindset of a steward. You may or may not know this about me, but I'm actually from an accounting background. I used to be an accountant and work as an accountant. And when you hire an accountant as a steward for your money, you would expect that person would know where your money is going, right? You wouldn't hire somebody to be your financial manager, and then you ask them, hey, what's happening with my money? And they say to you, oh, I don't know, I think I've got a little bit left over. You would expect them to know exactly where that is. God has actually put us as stewards of His resources. Everything that we have has been given to us. It is not ours. It is not ours alone. And I want us, during this session, to put on this mindset that we're stewards of God's things. In Psalms 24, 1-2, and in Colossians 1, verse 16, God makes it very clear. He owns it all. During this session, your home group leader is going to try and lead you into what we call a financial audit. You're going to separate out your spending, and you're going to try and figure out, just for yourself, you don't have to share this with anyone, just for yourself, you're going to figure out, where am I spending my money so that I could be wiser with my money. And it is our hope that would lead you to greater financial freedom. It is our hope that it would lead you to a wiser management of the resources that God has given you. When you separate your spending, you'd be surprised how much of that spending as a percentage is just spent on yourself. Money and the things we purchase with it are an unsatisfiable appetite. And so I'll go back to that first point. Right now, in the world today, we have more things than we could ever imagine. And we have borrowed from the future to accumulate more. Yet we are not satisfied. Why is that? God bless.